Hello. Thank you very much for joining us. We are going to be doing our wrap up for Task Team M, which was super, super fun. And I am just excited that we get to chat about it now that we have finished it. So, as per usual, we're just going to kind of go through everybody and say where you can find us and what we're doing. I usually start with myself, but I am not going to do that this time. Instead, I am going to shoot it to Vogley, because she's my girl. How you doing, girl?
Hey, everybody. I'm Vogley or Vogelstadel. I am always on Foozca's Twitch channel here on Mondays. Not this Monday. And also on Saturdays with difficult terrain. I played Helkatla, the changeling paladin that was almost drowned and gave Merp a heart attack. I will pass it off to Kit.
Okay. Hi, call me Cat. I am the guy who is currently without a camera. Yeah, I played Wybert Brown, better known as Bert. He was a Goliath barbarian who does not know he's a Goliath, but that's not there. Had a lot of fun with him. All right, I don't know what else to say here. Mr. Booty Master, please.
Right. that makes more sense if you watch a different 3-shot that Nenners ran and that you're in the Discord, where I changed that to my name because I thought it'd be funny, and it is, but I forget about it all the time, and then people just say it. So my name is Joe. I played Noel Howard, the Ranger Minotaur Professor Fighter. He wears many hats, but no hats. He doesn't look good in hats. Sure, it's good enough. Oh, I guess I'm on the internet. You should also watch Dispel Logic on Sundays and Fridays. I play D&D on Sundays there. And you should watch Foos, but you're already watching Foos. But keep watching Foos. I'll know if you stop. And then Anita, say words about you.
Thank you, Counselor Booty Master. Hello. I am Anita. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Anita the Lesbian, also on TikTok at Anita the Lesbian. I play TRPGs. I like Dungeons and Dragons and all sorts of stuffs. Yeah, I'm doing a lot. I can be here for a while talking about how much I do, but find me on Twitter. Find me at Girls Run These Worlds. I am spending my entire Thursdays with them for the first couple of Thursdays in December. First at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm in a Humblewood sort of 3-shot. I'm a goat named Billie Jean. We haven't raged or hit anything yet. I'm with some church people, and we're saving Christmas. I don't know. But after the 2 p.m. D&D thing with Humblewood that I'm doing an 8 p.m. Eastern Time Invincible Sword Princess thing. Invincible Sword Princess is a beautiful game that was written by a really cool person on the internet, Kazumi Chen. If you don't know Kazumi Chen, what are you doing? They're an incredible writer, poet, game designer, and I'm GMing a Invincible Sword Coven game. It's so cool. We're going across the land and getting revenge for the death of our immortal mother. It's a lot of fun times. Please stop by Girls Run These Worlds and follow them and subscribe to them and check out our YouTube because we're on the YouTubes. And I really love that organization. So that's me. That's good old Anita doing the thing, being sexy on your internets. So without further ado, I am going to pass it off to the MVP, truly, of this of this campaign. Truly, this is a happy ending, and I am not sobbing and cursing Fooz's name for the loss of my dear beloved Karen because of this one man with a dream, this one man who didn't believe when the DMs or the haters said you won't need a healer and made a healer anyway. A misunderstood man, a monosyllabic man that we truly love to see, the mind behind the merp. Nenners, take it away.
Wow, that was one hell of an intro. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am Nenners. I play Merp, the artificer alchemist, who wields giant crossbows because yay feats. It was super fun. I was glad I was able to keep most people alive, and I learned a lot about the artificer on the way, so that was honestly kind of fun. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. It was definitely a fun run, so thank you, and I appreciate all you guys being real fun to play with and bounce off of, and I think this is a super fun experience overall.
And I'm not gonna lie, you got that glowing intro, but by making a healer anyway, that's planning for failure, and I'm disappointed.
Yes,
Plan for victory and hope for the best.
My
That
man,
just seems like no.
I healed you like 3 times over.
That is not the point. The fact that I took at least twice, if not more, my total HP is not relevant to this conversation.
Okay,
I'm saying sometimes death is inevitable.
Which
But it
honestly
wasn't.
is like
But it
kind
could have
of
been.
is kind of leading into the very first question, which is kind of perfect. So just to kind of wrap everything up very quickly, I am Fooz, the DM for this adventure, and I was so fucking lucky to have this incredible cast come along with me for this little adventure. I'm so happy that we now get to kind of chat about things. So what I told them a little bit about is we're going to have group questions in which they will roll to see who has to answer first, but they will all answer. So for the very first question, how did you guys approach your character building? Whether that's in character or just your stats, like how did you approach making this character? So go ahead and roll me a d20, everybody, and roll 20.
Damn.
And we will see who gets to answer first, and then the rest of the
I leave you a lot of
answers
wiggle
will-
room there, Nenners. Sorry to cut you off.
My dumbass jumped in difficult terrain. Hold on,
Oh,
because in my brain I'm like, oh, it's come out the keyboard. It's difficult terrain.
Nope.
No, it's not.
Oh
Hold
my
on.
God. We gotta get some people up and running, but the rolls are coming in. Yeah, he didn't give you a lot of wiggle room there.
Nope.
All right. Let's
There he
see.
is.
All right. Dang, I think it's got to be Anita, right? There's Murphy. Yeah, you're
Oh, that was close.
yeah,
That was close.
It's close, man. He's all right. Joe off to an early start.
it's doing real good. So Anita,
Fitting with just how wonderfully I've been rolling just throughout this past. I've never rolled this good. I usually don't play marshals, so I don't usually roll this amount of die, but like this was a good rolling campaign for me. Anyway, Karen's origin story in my head. We were like Fooz pitched a Kimane one shot in the Discord. And everybody was like, no one can do names with K's. We cannot have an all K thing. So I was like, okay, Karen. Karen is her name. And like for me, I think of character ideas that I want to play in my head for a while. And I was just like, I've wanted to play a mom for a while. Sort of spurned on by A1 mod, aka the Dainty Funk, that you can find on Girls from These Worlds. Like in my home game, they are a mother of like 10 or 11 adopted kids, and I was like, oh, that is so fun. Let me try to play with that. except like Maud in our home game is a good mother, and like I wanted to be like, no, what if like she just sucks at being a mom? So
I love it.
I got Karen, who needed a break from her children, and that's why she's going out and doing very reckless things with her life. Yeah, we didn't really get into Karen that much, but like as I played with her, I discovered that like instead of going to therapy, Karen went to Zumba. Karen like
Yeah.
took runs, Karen worked out. So like, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Are we gonna? Probably not. We're probably gonna go to church and pray about it and go shopping, maybe continue with Task Team M. But that's the vibe. That is how Karen came to be. I believe next highest roller was Bird Kit.
Yeah.
Ah, god damn it. Okay.
It doesn't have to be like it can be whatever you have to answer. Obviously, there's no right or wrong answer.
Oh, I'm just
But you will be
lamenting the good
graded.
role here wasted on this. Okay. Well, as I keep telling people, I am still not comfortable with just playing in general. Right, just building a character is intimidating to me. So when we first, met up for, like session 0, I basically said, "Hey, what's the one thing, what's the one class I don't got to cast anything in?" And you guys were like, "Barbarian." Like, okay, cool, let's do that. So that's why I made a barbarian.
That's fine.
Yeah, and from there, I was just like, okay, let's do some research here. I like doing research. You can ask vendors about this. I like looking shit up. And, well, it said, okay, a good class for this is a Goliath, right? And I didn't know shit about a Goliath. I don't know what the fuck that was. Who's vetoed the first art, the first picture I found that I thought would look good. I wanted to play like this, grizzled and gruff kind of Goliath, right? Who's seen some fighting, right? But then I was like, okay, fuck, I gotta find me a new picture here. So I ended up with one that looked pretty young to me, and so I ended up with a younger fellow. He's around 20 or so, and yeah. Another thing I really struggle with is in general, besides in D&D, is just coming up with character backstories and shit. So what I do is every single character I have is but that's the one I played with Nanners here in his quote unquote one shot. Every character I have is related to each other in some way. Not necessarily related, but connected in some way. So
Yeah. That's nice.
So yeah,
I mean, Plandy very much started off in a similar situation because his characters are brothers. So
Yeah.
Ah, that was cool. Yeah, but he basically comes from a very, very big family. He has 2 older siblings. His parents are not normal. In my head, one of them was. They were races that could live for a very long time. So in my head, his dad was a dwarf and his mother was, I never really thought about it, but yeah, he has a bunch of siblings, like I said, and all of them are adopted. So he has siblings who are like, one of them's a furbolg, one of them's another dwarf, one of them's a damn peer. Let's not go there. That's how I thought about it. I didn't really put a lot of thought into it besides his 2 older siblings. But yeah.
I will also say, in my defense, I only rejected your art because you were choosing a Goliath and he was full of hair, and I was like, that's not what they look like.
I'm not blaming you for it. I appreciate the moment, the teaching moment. Like, oh, I didn't know this. Okay.
No, that was the only reason why. And I was like, if you want to make it like a weird magical situation that like happened to him and we can work with that, we can. But like if you want like a Goliath, he can't be a full bearded hairy man.
Oh, no, I get you, yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
The last thing I do want to mention is that the thing we never got to is the fact that he does not know that he is not a Goliath. Like
that he is a Goliath.
I'm sorry, like he does not know that he's a Goliath. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes, he doesn't know that he's human.
But it goes a little further than that. He doesn't understand that there's different races in the world. So when he was talking to he connected when he was talking to Noel, he connected like his father's a dwarf, so he thought, oh look, they're both hairy. So
awesome.
to him, everyone else is like, oh, we're all the same people. He's technically, I don't know, I think I told someone and they said, oh, so technically he can't be racist. Like, oh, okay, I don't know about that. But yeah, so he refers to people based on what he sees about them, like if you're short or small or, so that's why he kept referring to Hakatla as Gray Lady. And yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
Shit
great.
like that. I've never got to it, but yeah.
And hey, we might get to it later.
We'll see.
That's true.
But yeah, that's Bert, I guess. I had a lot of fun with him. Thank you.
That was great. Next up is Vogley with Helkatla.
No, very appropriate. And you know what's interesting is that outside of D&D, whenever I do get a chance, I do write, and I do have a lot of characters and whatnot. But for some reason, when it's a D&D scene, I have a little bit of trouble getting into a character because I really want to, I hate to put it like this, but sink my teeth into the idea and the feeling of what this character is. And that's kind of tough for me because I don't build very much into the character so that I allow more, so I don't pigeonhole myself, so I can have a little more creative freedom with the character. So it's definitely been a challenge. So for this go, I picked Helkatla. I based Helkatla just around the class, and then from there, I sort of made a decision based on what she could possibly do as a changeling, and then from there, I just sort of built in quirks and things like that, as well as the yes-anding from the group that you amazing guys. So that really helped out a lot, and it made me feel like I was much more part of this group, and that she, would want that kind of interaction as well, because she's also very much a team player. So that's where I sort of built it off of. And, the name and a bunch of other things I built off of just some the origin around her name. So Katla is actually a volcanic mountain in Iceland, and then I just tacked on because the hell part, just for the sake of making the name sound a little bit different. But her name literally means like hell kettle or something like that. like Katla is like a kettle or a pot, if you guys want to look it up and whatnot. So that's how I kind of invented her. And then it was just quirks after that. And Foos really has been coaching me for many years to embrace quirks and embrace the imperfections and not make a character perfect. So yes, Satan's teapot. That's exactly what. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like Satan's teapot, then I was thinking like hot fire, because like hot things.
Yeah.
It's like heat, hot lava, bad, hot. My brain just went to stupid shit. Sorry, continue.
So thank you everybody for helping, kind of build this person, which sort of makes sense, right? You don't build a person in isolation necessarily. Anyway, so yeah, who is the next person after me is Nanners.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize in advance because this is going to be long. But yeah, it's a tale of 3 characters. One never got out the gate because at the session 0, nobody said the word cleric, and I had to kind of redo my whole plan. But I love psionics, and I was going to make a
go
psionic...
in no healer, no training wheels.
It's a lot of caskets.
Yeah.
Someone's got to employ the grave digger.
I'm just gonna be an undertaker. I'm not gonna heal you. I'm just gonna make sure you got a nice headstone. He was gonna be a psionic fighter mix. Yeah, it was a Psy Warrior and Soul Knife Rogue, but didn't get a chance to do that. I had to do one of those, and then I did Argos with my uncle because he was playing Zummy. Argos was probably my favorite character I've made recently. He had a lot of like really cool things. I love dark casters. I love elements that like paths to power that might not be their own. and they're just kind of dealing with it or trying to expand upon certain things. Even his name was kind of interesting because it's like in Greek it means one of either like Odysseus's dog, which is kind of what he would be, and like a seeing eye dog to his uncles, how he sees almost like his relationship, right? Because his uncle was so like what's the word I'm looking for? He was just so kind-hearted and I dare say naive a little bit. I mean, he was a wise person, but he definitely like just overly gave people the benefit of the doubt, regardless of who they were or any other evidence to the contrary. So there was that. But the alternative form of it is also the many-eyed servant of Hera, which Hera doesn't really apply, but he worked with an aboleth, which is who helps him develop those powers, and that's why he was giving people the maybe not so good touch with the cold slimy tentacles, why he was like deep speeching and stuff like that. So
dark shit.
Yeah, dark shit all day. But obviously I had to stop playing him, which made me sad face, and I didn't want to play like a typical cleric, and that's when the conversation between Foozca and I happened. It was like, do I need a healer? Foozca was like, nah, you don't. I was like, I don't believe you. So I rolled it anyway. But but I like my wizard already has elements of life in it and like our main campaign. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm doing a peace domain cleric. As you can see, I get stuck holding the support bag quite a bit. I do the I have a peace domain cleric in the Humblewood campaign for Flandy. So I'm like, that was my second favorite probably option. And I was just doing like druids are cool, but they're like, I don't know, I'm not a terribly nature person. I'm way more into technology and stuff like that, like in real life. I was like, hey, well, I mean, artificers kind of work. And everyone's like, it's okay. I'm like, I'll make it work. So I was like, artificer, and I'm looking at all the races, and I'm reading up on like the new changes they made to kobolds. Like, they get like draconic cries, they get all these like cool things. I'm like, all right. But kobolds are kind of like psychos, right? They're like little trap laying bastards. Like, how am I going to make this guy? You know, and what the hell would he be doing on the Q&A, right? Is he just like trapping people in alleys? So I had so I had this kind of cuckoo idea of like having one who was like an entrepreneur, like had like a lot of. I guess actually his point in about the Q&A is actually like sell some of his products. And it was going to be the acronym was MERP. I forgot what the hell it was, like medicinal something. So anyway, I have that acronym written down somewhere. But MERP is like a tick he has, obviously. Also his name. It was also going to be the name of his product. So he was trying to help. When Mukami asked him to help, it was like, yeah, he wants to help people, but at the same time, it helps get his good word out too, right? Like, hey, this guy's help save this, and oh, yeah, by the way, I have all these things for sale and stuff like that. So, but I definitely wanted somebody who was brilliant but couldn't articulate himself properly all the time. And being a kobold would be full of like pointy gadgets. And the other thing I love is the thing I love about artificers probably the most is the flavoring. It's like they're kind of like this weird half-caster thing going on. But the opportunity to shoot my teammates with bolts that give them spells or hit someone in the chest and just grease pops out, like stuff like that is just, that's so much fun. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Sorry for the super long-winded rant, but Joe, you beat me in the role, my man. So you have the honor of last place, sir.
All right.
Oh my god.
First thing I'm going to say is next time we do a quote-unquote one-shot, I will just come in and play the healer and then work with Foos to lie and not play the healer. So that way you're not stuck playing support and we can play D&D for real. Anyway.
I love this.
High stakes.
I love this.
I don't remember the question. Oh, because I was distracted. I also wanted to agree with you on dark powers. I have yet to get a real chance to play a necromancer, and I want it. I want it.
There you go.
I will 100% be your support group. I'll be your hype man.
Yeah. Yes, you will.
And I've talked
Also,
about.
Joe, how did you approach your character building?
Oh, that. most of the time it works the way it worked this time. Sometimes I have like this is a fun idea. How would I make that work mechanically? Or this is the type of person I want to play. How would I make that work mechanically? Usually, I'm looking at multi-classing, which I didn't this time because it was just not enough levels to do so. Usually I'm looking at multi-classing, and I'll do it at no one from my. If you're from Michigan State University, ignore this part. When I'm at work,
Yeah.
and I have
Okay.
don't have other things to occupy my time, I'll just kind of look and be like, I haven't made a druid in a minute, and I'll just look at the druids and be like, okay, here's an ability I like. What can I mesh with that to be different and interesting? But in this case, it started with just I'm playing a ranger in a minute, and not enough people play them, and they're awesome. And so I just focused. I looked through, and I was like, okay, I want the horde breaker. That's what I want to be. I want to be a guy hitting all the things, and go from there. And as far as his personality, because that's what I'll usually do if I start with mechanics, they'll be like, okay, here is the skeleton upon which to build a person. What type of person makes the choices that lead here? Where did they come from? What shifted them into this? And try and feel like what makes sense for that person to be as a background and which race to choose. And usually somewhere in that, I'm looking for something to subvert an expectation. Like, I don't want to be all quirks. I don't want to be all like, I gotcha. But it's like, okay, something's going to be a little odd. Something's going to be different than what you might expect just to make them feel enough unique and to play into something. I think I don't remember if we talked about it here at some point, but I made a Goliath wizard for that point. Because it's like, you don't think of a Goliath as a wizard. But he's a Goliath wizard fighter, and he's all about reactions, and you don't get enough of them, and it was a mistake to do it. But it was fun to explore the option.
For sure, for sure.
So, with his personality, I don't recall which led to the other. Because it might have been his name that led to his professory nature, and it might have been his professory nature that led me to the name. It's been a minute. But I know his name came about for the same reason as Karen's. I was like, okay, K names. There's not a whole lot I can think of, so I was just thinking of K words and know-how. I was like, oh, I'm going to turn that into Noel Howard.
Oh,
So
very
that's where his name
cool.
came to be. And as I say it, I'm pretty sure I made him because I made him strong enough to handle being a frontliner. Because I built a fighter in the Ranger class with an intelligence desire for on a personal level for the character. So I do think I did. In this case, it was because when I spoiler alert, if you go back and watch Dispel Logic, when I died, I thought I was going to be
some time ago.
I thought I was going to be making a whole new person. I was looking at Oath of Ancients Paladin, and I was like, okay, to be somebody who steps in and wants to help, I'm going to super buy into the adventure. I'm going to just be Mr. Adventure, excited, boisterous, haha. And then that voice that became Nold, I started calling Professor Adventure because it sounded kind of brainy, and I never used it for anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do Professor Adventure. So I gave it the intelligence twist by giving him the knowledge nature enough that it's like, okay, you're not a genius in all things. You don't have a super high intelligence stat. You just studied one thing, and so you're smart in it. And that kind of professory feeling, that vibe, then led to with the K names know-how, Noel Howard. And that was kind of the subversion bit, because I always want to do something that makes them a little bit different. I was okay, he's a ranger with fighter stats, but you could do that. It's just I chose to emphasize the fighting over the spell casting without having a super high wisdom. But being like, okay, he's a minotaur. You expect him to have a big old weapon, but you don't expect him to whip out glasses and be reading a book necessarily.
Right.
So that's why he became a minotaur. I was like, okay, we're going to lean into the two-handed fighter visually. And then personality-wise, it doesn't make sense immediately, just stereotypically. But it's not like crazy to imagine. It's not a super big gimmick. It's a little bit off kilter until you get to just adjust to it. But it was a way to kind of give me another thing to buy into. And that's what I love about one shots, especially because I'm sure we'll get into plot stuff. Short campaigns. This one was
Yes.
never advertised as a one shot.
It never was.
It was never advertised as a one shot.
I support this narrative.
But with a
Oh my
shorter
God.
campaign, it requires buy-in from all the players.
Yes.
You can't. With a longer form campaign, maybe you can play faff about with the I don't necessarily want to go on adventure, reluctant hero, and then we get to the turn where now you're a hero, because otherwise that'll be boring if it happens forever. But
Right,
you have
exactly.
time to play
We
that
have to like.
no time to play that narrative. Nobody gonna be sitting here. I don't know. Maybe I won't go see what this mysterious note is. So it just gave the excuse for Professor Adventure. I was like, you know who we need? Some enthusiasm. This guy's got
Mhm.
that. So the nature of a short form campaign is what led to that personality choice. And then those are all the bits. You
Yeah.
put them into a pot and stir it around, and a Professor Minotaur hops out.
That's fun.
Oh, yeah.
I am super into masks right now, and I need a hero in Halcyon City to be named Professor Adventure and to play
Yeah.
with them. Sorry, that was just
No.
I remember
No.
when Masks was being a Kickstarter, I went, that looks cool, and I never followed up on it. And also, I now have Bonnie Tyler in my head, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
I loved hearing a little bit about everyone because some people I knew exactly where they started, and others I did not. So that was awesome to hear. And I'm going to be asking you guys questions specifically about your characters, mixed in between the everybody answers groups. So now that everybody's answered, we will get to our first solo question, which is actually Karen. When did you decide that Karen was not going to be a good, like, she doesn't like her kids kind of thing? Like, she's not a terrible mother, she just doesn't enjoy being around kids. Like, when did that come up and how did it come up? And why was that a decision you were like, that's her character?
listen. If you're going into the sewers to fight rats, without like to illegally fight rats in the sewers for fun. Like, if you're making that choice, it's got to be something a little weird about you. It's got to be a little like I think that Karen really needed to not be well adjusted, like, for me to like be like, all right, there is this mom of like 5, and I think that's another thing, like, you know, sand cats, the type of cat that Karen is based off of, they usually have like 2 kids, maybe 3 kids in a litter. Karen had 5. Yeah, I'm not sure,
Many kids.
like, I knew that like Karen needed to be like needed to like have a little bit that was like, you're burying this, you're not addressing this, like it's causing you to make some rash decisions. And I think that like yeah, I will say that it just felt right to be like, okay, there's this adventure that's happening, and instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna go home and raise my kids, because that is the thing that I have chosen with my life, and that's a thing that I love to do. I needed to like really make a compelling like, oh no, I have a history of like avoiding my shit when I need to do my shit. So yeah, like it's part of the buy-in thing that our booty master was talking about earlier. Like just like you go into this relatively short adventure knowing that like, okay, this woman is normal, she is a cat, like I I personally wanted to play a monk that just like spent too much time doing Zumba and like became a monk on accident, like for a while. That's been like, oh, that's hilarious. Cause like the classes are weird. And I like and I like sort of saying that like, yeah, I made a promise and now magic comes out of my sword when I hit people with it. Or like, yeah, I never skipped leg day once in my entire life, and now I'm faster than a camel. Like,
oh my god.
I love like the little details that the player's handbook gives us, and like how that can craft, how that can shape like what the world around us means. I thought that was neat. I really wanted to play a character that was a mom, and also really needed her to decide, yeah, I'm gonna go into the sewers and fight a demon lord instead of going home and raising my kids. So yeah, that is the vibe. I hope I answered your question. I think I lost it somewhere along the way.
You did.
But
you got it.
Joke's on Karen. You have to go back and raise your kids anyway.
You know, sometimes you just need a mom's night.
There you go. There you
Like,
go.
and then you can feel a little bit better. Like after that brush with death, Karen really believes that her god Eshu definitely like was that figure turning and like brought her back. Karen has an intelligence of 7, so sometimes when you see somebody when you're about to die and suddenly you're not dying, oh yeah, that's an act of God, probably, sure. I was on the road to death, and now he turned me around and said, listen to your kids, because a baby was crying. So she's definitely,
I love it.
yeah, she's definitely like from here on out, like living a much more pious life. Like she's becoming active in her church. She's doing a lot more than she was service wise to Eshu. But that's for the sequel. And we can give you more when that happens. I'll stop rambling because we got a show to do. Please take it away from me, please.
Well, the nice thing is, it's time for another group question. So everybody roll me a d20. Hold on, I'm just gonna question 2, just so we don't get the mixed up in the line of all the rolls that are gonna come out. But for this next question, it's going to be, what did your character assume that the job was going to be?
Damn.
Oh shit! You guys are like very close to each other.
It is a nice switch.
Oh,
You gave me such room to run, and I couldn't do it. I rolled high. I rolled highest. What is this nonsense?
Couldn't do it.
Okay, 1 point for Kitten. Okay.
Which actually means we get to.
Anita.
Yeah. Oh, Anita, you rolled twice, right? Yeah. So you got a 12.
Yeah, I rolled twice. I don't know.
Okay. No worries. I was just making sure that I didn't like accidentally overread something. But Noel, Joe, you'll be the first to answer. What did you think the character assumed the job would entail?
He made no assumptions. Part of both, analytical to the extent he can be, mind, but he's going around collecting facts to put in a book and came from a place of valuing knowledge before he got there in his travels. My only thought was, well, this should be good. Because you don't make assumptions. I mean, the old adage, make an ass of you and me. It was just, I'm gonna go see what this is about. It's either nefarious, in which case interesting and something to add to the richness of my life, or possibly important. Why something significant about meeting in the middle of the night. So Noel went in with no thoughts. No,
So we'll find out.
no, a lot of curiosity and questions, but no, like, I bet it's this, or oh, it could be any of these things. It was the number of thoughts would have been. There were too many things it could have been. So there were probably aspects of a clandestine meeting to arrange for something like smuggles, or someone needs to be assassinated. But most of those would have been fanciful, like literary fiction reasons why someone would meet in the dead of night. Because realistically, if you had to sit down and say, well, no one's asking me to go smuggle stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm new enough in town that they're like, hey, stranger, you can go places and not seem crazy obvious, because why wouldn't you go here as part of a visitor to our fair town? Maybe you want to make a little drug money. But for the most part, he's like, I'm not the guy you go to for nefarious crimes.
Right.
So a lot of imagination on what could be, but no, I went in ready to be surprised.
That's awesome. I love that Noel's like, who knows? Let's go. Merp, what did well, actually, you have two characters to ask, essentially. Merp probably got a little more information, but Argos had what everyone else had. But what did they think?
Argos, I don't think really cared what it was. It was more like, why do you keep volunteering us for this shit? Right? Like, we're trying to hunt down like a demon, not a demon lord, but a demon, period. He like did horrible things to Zumni, and he's like, this guy's got to get got. Like, oh god, what is it like? There's he's so focused, I think, on the goal. First and foremost, obviously, is his uncle's safety. And trying to keep him safe is a full-time job unto itself. But Argos is far more vengeful than Zumni ever will be. I think Zumni was going out there because he wanted justice and to have that creature removed. But Argos was absolutely like, I'm going to murder this fool. Right? Like, there's no question about it. Like, like that's... to the point where, like, you know, if this was a longer campaign, I'd be talking to Foos about like how to get this guy's real name and shit like that, like hardcore erase, like final death type stuff. So I don't think he was really concerned with what the job was, as long as it wasn't like, hey, go into this like den of rabid minotaurs and see what happens, right? Like, even though we had a nice one on our team. So yeah, as long as it wasn't like absolutely preposterous, he was okay with it. He's just us getting there was his problem. But with Merp, I honestly just pictured he got the missive and was like, yeah, that's great, I'm working on this stuff, blow something up, missive like falls on the floor, oh yeah, I was supposed to go see Mikami, and then went off, and she's like, hey, you're late, you're gonna go fight some rats, and then you know. And I think Merp is probably... I always pictured Merp as someone who's accustomed to danger due to his kobold heritage, right? Like, if you're a kobold, shit's always going down. Either you're fucking with somebody, or they're fucking with you back, or, you know, your boy is in a pit trap that he screwed up making. Like, I imagine it's very exciting. Or the dragon that you're serving is like, go eat these people, or bring this back, or whatever it is. So I played him as being desensitized to violence overall, because I just figured that would be what his life was like.
Yeah.
He doesn't prefer it, but that's how he grew up. So
it just happens, right?
Yeah. It's just a fact of life for him. So I don't think it was that big of a deal for either one.
Just like, we'll figure it out. Let's go.
We'll work it out.
All right. Which brings us to Karen with a 12.
Yeah. So something that we might not have like really gotten into. Karen is rich. Karen's husband is like one of 10 people in Kimathe Kamani that have like the twin king's ears, or like the husband king's ears, the brother king's ears, I don't know. But they are like they are very, very well off. And I had imagined that like Karen was just a regular at Mukami's Trinkets, that Karen was just like used to like getting very weird and ominous messages from Mukami. I had imagined that like she had sent her like messages
Okay.
like, "Hey girl, we gonna party like at this club tonight, like come through, it'll be fun." And like I feel like Mukami just has a reputation of being a very, very good event planner. Karen was 100% expecting some like recreational, like, oh, Mukami's like gotten me set up with a couple of really cool, fun people. She's heard that I am having just a time with my children and that she's like sending me off, like, do a little partying. She did not expect a fight. She did not expect a fight. She thought at first when we were fighting, she thought, "Oh, okay. She knows I'm a city girl. She knows that I used to tussle. And honestly, this is a little bit of a fun release." And then things got wet, and somebody tried to take over her mind, and it stopped being fun. She does regret kicking down the door, like in hindsight. But she was mad when she figured out, oh no, she put me in a lot of danger with people that or at least with one Minotaur that doesn't seem to have a sense of self-preservation. So yeah, like, oof. Is it really too much to take a single 1 hour nap? The sewers are not going anywhere.
Let me take a knee.
Yeah, I feel like this conflict will last lifetimes. Like in the next life, it's gonna be Karen's next life and Noel. And Karen just wanted to take a nap, and Noel's next life just being like, "We must press on for adventure's sake," but not in that voice, in a new Noel next life voice. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I've answered the question. Was expecting good times, good friends, maybe some liquor, but that didn't happen. And I think that Kit's next.
Yes, it looks like according to the rolls, Kit is next.
Well, that's the thing with him, really. He was expecting an adventure, I guess, is what happened there. You know, that's what he left home for. You know, his parents were adventurers in my mind before they did anything. That's why they supported other children, like, hey, go have an adventure, go live your life out there, and then come back if you want to, but go do that. And that's why he was, doing what he was doing. What kind of adventure? I'm not really sure. Little green boy comes up to him, says, "Hey, there's food and there's gold." By the way, we never find out what the food was. That sucks. But yeah, that's more or less what he would have been expecting. It's an adventure. I'm going to meet new people. Mom and Dad and Big Sis will be proud of me when I go back and tell them about it.
That's awesome.
Precious.
I love that mentality, and it feels right. I'm gonna go on an adventure. I get to tell the family. I love it.
I don't know. So that's mainly what I thought would happen after the adventure's over. He goes back to tell his family about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Makes sense.
Which brings us to Vogli with Helkatla.
Yeah, so this is kind of normal, I think, for Helkatla. She just takes a lot of different jobs, and one of her vows, I believe, is of charity. I think I mentioned that before. So this is usual. The requests are kind of usual. And she didn't, when the child came to her, she was not skeptical at all. She was very curious. Oh, a child has come to deliver a message. Why not trust this child. And so for her, it's just kind of normal. She very much is the kind of person who just rolls with everything. And, as Joe very rightly pointed out in one session, she yes ands a lot with everyone just because she wants to be part of that community and whatnot. And also one of her tenets is, in addition to charity, is loyalty. So if Mukami is gonna ask her to do something, she will not hesitate. She will not ask. She'll just show up and be like, "Hey, what do you need me to do? Do you want me to like move this whole bookcase? Is that what? Do you need my strength, or do you need me to whoop some demon ass?" So she's
I
on
love
board.
that. That's the spectrum too, right? It's like, if you need a bookshelf, gotcha. If you want me to kill a demon, gotcha.
Yeah,
Anything between that is fine.
yeah,
It's all part of the service.
yeah, exactly.
Hilarious.
And there's
But
next
yeah,
time
I
where
guess
she needs you to whoop a bookcase. Whoop a bookcase. God, that was
Bookcase.
I struggled with
You
words
can
and
do it,
words right
man.
there.
You can do it.
Whoop a bookcase and move some demon ass. That was the whole
you
bit.
made it.
That was the whole
did.
bit. We worked so hard for not a very great joke.
I will, from here on out, I love your answers so much, but I just realized we are like an hour in and I've asked 3 questions.
I told
Gotta
you.
be, Foos.
I said it. I did.
And I have 10. So let's do our best to kind of keep things rolling. I like I said, I love your answers so much. This is not a plea for anything, but after this one, actually, we get into a solo question, which is for Merp. So Nenners, considering the adventure that Merp had just gone on, and considering that he has his own apartment in the city, do you think he's going to stay for long, or do you think he'll be moving on?
I think he's going to stay for a bit. It's kind of exciting. There's a lot of interesting things going on. And if you're an alchemist and the water that you're using is magical, I'd imagine you're not going to leave anytime soon just for resources, period. But yeah, I don't see him leaving anytime soon. He hasn't really been evicted yet. And the other thing about Kamate Kimane, well, not for like not paying bill. He has a kobold.
I know what you
mean.
mean.
It's not.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
yeah.
my next point. Is like, it's a relatively tolerant area in comparison to other Faerunian cities. So he has good resources there. There's some strong casters he can probably reference with or talk to, and the isolation in a way kind of helps. So I think he'll stay.
Aw, Merp will be around for a bit. Okay, so next is another group question. So I need you all to roll another d20 for me. Question. Oh, dang it. Okay, so I need a. Oh no, that was.
Oh no.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. So we got a 17 for you,
I'm sorry.
and then the rest. Oh dang! Look at these high rolls. Oh no. Back down. Yeah,
A
look at
chance
these
to
rolls.
Yeah, that's huge. Let's go.
This is upsetting.
This is a low roller roll off, and they're upset that they're rolling high. What is this? Okay, so that means Bogli, you get to answer it first. And the question is, what did your character think of Mukami and her concern for the city?
She thought it was very natural. Of course you're going to be concerned about the city, just because it's very much a paladin mentality, and she again is also very much about the group, about the community. So yes, that's natural. Of course. There's nothing weird about any of this. Yes, we have to save the city in the middle of the night. Yeah, if rats are actually the problem, then they're a problem. I can deal with it. If they turn out to be something else, also can deal with it. Yeah, like very, very much her mentality.
She's ready to go.
Yeah, she is. But very chill about it. She's like, yeah.
All right, which means Noel. What did you think about Mukami?
Very appreciative of her efforts on day 2 to get us some gear and things to survive, like she was committed. But also, Noel is a rambling man, both in the intent of the phrase and his propensity to just talk endlessly. So he's new to the city in the region. He's been lots of places. And it's probably not the first time an innkeeper analog has asked him to kill rats, because that's a classic level 1. So,
Not the
on the
first
one
time.
hand, admirable. You want to help out your city, you're doing a good thing, and you're committed with follow-up resources, and genuinely fond of the interaction, and it's a pleasure to have met. But also, there's like a few dozen other innkeeper analogs that I've met up and down the coast and throughout the world that I could say similar nice things about. So it's a nice person to add to my book of travels and book of memories.
Aw.
But I move, I roam, so it's not the first like-minded individual.
That's great. Next is Bert. It's okay, he has to unmute.
Well, what did he think of? Okay.
Mukami,
Yeah.
the shopkeep who recruited them, and her concern for the city.
Nice green lady. Honestly, yeah, I don't really know what he would have thought of her. He's like, hey, here's a nice green lady that gave me food, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like that. That's the boundaries of being nice, right? She gave me food. We're cool. It's great.
I too am very food motivated. I understand.
I love it. No, it is great. Oh my god. These rolls were 17, 16, 15, and then a hard drop down to 3 with Nenners. so Nenners, you are up.
I think Mert probably looks up to Mukami a little bit in terms of like her business sense and her ability to like maintain a shop here and do like extracurricular activities. The civic-minded nature probably doesn't register in his head as like she's going out of her way to do it. He probably thinks it's like a side job or like she's secretly hired by somebody. As you don't see many like kobold philanthropists or like, statues of great civic leaders for like kobolds. It's not a thing. So I don't think he even registers that as a concept. He probably just assumed, oh, she just works for the guard or something, or has a business interest that's in jeopardy or something, and we're just helping. So that's probably as far as his thought process goes.
Cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then last is Karen.
I think Karen was befuddled. Like, girl, you are running an illegal op. You're spending damn near 3,000 gold trying to get us trying to do charity work for the free. Like, it was like, I think that was a little bit of why like she was so angry when she like came back in and like broke her door, because like what is in it for you? I think she was surprised when like she found out, oh, you're just being nice and like also trying to look out for the good of the city. I think she had like, I think in the sequel that's something that's going to stick with her as she gets more into holiness and praising Ashun, etc.
Cool. Thank you guys for your timely answers. After this, we go into another solo question, and this one is for Noel. After this particular adventure, and with the kind of cryptic message of reincarnation, has it tampered with his enthusiasm, or do you think it is same old Noel?
No, all around 10 out of 10 would recommend.
He had a great time.
The best adventure is when you come home from. I don't make that face, Anita. I understand what I said. I understand where there's stakes where it's worth risking not coming home. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to live. He's just understood that he might not, and has long since made his peace with that. No, it mostly doesn't change. Very enthusiastic to have more adventures. I'm going to spend my time around the city and the region learning what I came to learn, and then I'll move on to the next thing and go to the next place and have adventures there. There's this promised thing, but that's the problem for Dead Null, so I don't have to worry about that.
Jeez, a live Null is gonna have a great time.
A live
We'll
Null is
figure it
Null.
out.
Dead Null can be somebody else, and then remember a live Null maybe. It's confusing, but ain't nobody said pledge your service to me, for I am the Lord. This. He went,
That is true.
intriguing. He's gonna look more into it, just out of curiosity, just to expand his own horizons and knowledge. But I don't have to live my life any different. I guess I just get to do life 2.0 down the line.
I love that. Honestly, I kind of expected a similar answer, but I love just right out the bat. No, this is a more like this is an excited man after what had happened. That's awesome. All right, there's a cat in front of me, which makes it a little difficult to read the next question. Can someone type in question 4 for me? Because there's a cat on my keyboard and I can't. Thank you. And after that, everyone can roll their d20s for their next group chat or question. And this I know is going to be difficult. Yo, what is going on?
I figured it out. We talked about it before. I roll low, but I don't roll low. I roll bad. Because when I play Dark Heresy Warhammer, I roll a bunch of 70s, 80s.
Oh, fuck the police. Damn it.
There it is.
They're back. They're rolling well.
Well, we're not rolling well. This is the new bad.
Right. Right, exactly.
Exactly what I'm saying.
This is also, I know this question is going to be a little hard to answer in like probably a short time because I think there are a lot of memorable moments. But Nenners, being the first, as you rolled a natural 20, what was a memorable moment for you during the fight with Chitterick?
Also, hold up, and I am going to let you finish, but we're 2 for 2, and there's only one more group question. So
I know, this is coming down to the wire. I'm so excited. All right. Chitterick.
That's so much.
There were so many. I got to isolate one.
Yeah, that's why I was like, this is going to be tough.
All right, so Foozca I can't take a long time. All right. Just squish some things out. I have to say, you know what? Honestly, it was Karen going, like, hearing the threat to her family, and then that just being a fucking switch that was flipped, and it was just like just a missile, a monk missile inbound, like just that. It's I always love those moments where it's like when that line is crossed, and then there is no hesitation between when the consequence, like the missile was on its way, and that was and just how much pressure she applied right off the bat. I mean, that was no pun intended. Just going absolute ham, and and as somebody who was not paying attention to the walking order, I was like, oh shit, I'm all the way back here. And then there's these little swimmy rats trying to bite me, so that was fun. But no, I think that just set the tone for the whole fight, and I think set the flow, said everything about it, and if I had to pick a moment, that had to be it.
Super agree. Also, not only was Karen the missile at the very start of that fight, but she landed every single shot once she closed the distance. She ran up and hit my Demon Lord like 5 times in the chin.
He deserved every one.
As soon as she walked up, it was great. No, I loved it. So the dice tell a story,
They do.
So that means Joe, you're up next with a 16.
God, it's a difficult question you've posed.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's a little self-centric because it directly involves me, and everyone had their fair share of just good stuff that they leaned into. But it's not totally self-centric because I'm sharing this moment. Karen coming up and laying down the law. Just we weren't supposed to have the fight. We're supposed to short rest. Just delicious inter-character tension. It's not something you get often enough. So I was part of it. So it's self-centric, but really I didn't initiate it. I just gave it back. We had a wonderful little tennis match of how about this? Oh yeah, well how about that? And how about this? And ain't nothing got resolved right away. So that was a fun bit of interaction.
Super agree. Love that situation. Especially mid-combat was like, still think we didn't need a long rest. It's like, all right, so next is Vogley with a 13.
How can I choose? Okay. I also liked the moments that Halkatla shared with Karen carrying each other a lot. Also
This is
because
specifically for the Chitterick fight, the fight at the very end.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
My bad. When I was thinking of them, I completely
I completely
dismissed
didn't
that.
answer that. That was a completely different part of the story.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, Chitterick. I did like the fact that it was nail biting at certain points, especially when Chitterick went after Noel and Anita. And that was when things really changed for me and got really compelling, because I was like, ooh, it's Paladin job time. And it ended up being very clear about what needed to happen and whatnot. And it really was intense for me. Like, oh no, they're down. Oh no. Like, especially since both of them were hitting so well. It's like I could barely hit anybody at any point. And you know, I mean, Merp was getting off really good heals and whatnot. And Bert was getting swarmed by rats. So I was like, oh no. Just constantly, oh no. But that is what I would choose.
I will real quick actually answer your question now that I fully heard it.
I was going to say we can double back to you if you want.
In the Chitterick fight, it's the final blow. Is first off Merp, because he was doing everything in that fight, so it was very fitting. But also the fact that he knocked his ass off the ledge and didn't see the hit was just so beautiful.
Yeah,
that was the
and
best part.
And also on top of that, I shout out to Anita for being a paladin expert and schooling me in how to paladin, because I would have not got off that 65 point hit, whatever it was.
Crazy amount of smite.
Yeah.
Oh, the smites. Yeah.
Without you. So that also made it for me. I was like, I can actually do that. I don't understand what's happening, but I can do the thing.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You guys were awesome as a team, both in and out of character.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great to watch.
I like team stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anita, you're next.
Yeah, my first answer was like the second that Chitterick said, "Oh no, your family," and then I had to think, okay, Karen would follow the plan. Wait, when we said let's make a plan back in the room, nobody made a plan. Okay, Karen goes. Karen starts.
This is the plan.
But that was already said. So I will say the Infinite swallowing a baby head. Does the Infinite run on slave baby labor? Is the baby sentient? Like what is the baby? What is the baby? What is the baby? Tell me, Kamane. I need to know. But we never will. That has been in my mind, in my heart, since we ended. So I will call that.
Netters, baby slaves. Get out of here, Netters. And
I think you won this fight.
Get out of here. Get out. Kit. A memorable moment for you in the Chitterick fight.
Oh yeah, for me that one's easy. That's Hokatla saving herself from the rats.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was
It's terrifying. Like, oh no, we just lost the paladin in the water. She's wearing heavy armor. She's about to get swarmed. The only one that can help her is Merp, the little ass dragon guy. Yep. I mean, the man is carrying us already, but god fucking damn it, another thing for him to take care of. Are we gonna do this? can I help if I head over there? Fuck. And then she saved herself. I'm like, yes! Okay.
In
That
a
was awesome.
spectacular fashion,
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
That
In
was-
such a
that was
heroic
awesome.
way too. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you guys.
Loved
No,
it.
thank you. My plan was
Yeah.
not great.
Then it was like, I'm gonna do some hodgepodge shit. You have to carry me
I
out.
have to- yeah, it was not going to be good. So I'm very thankful you sorted that one out.
I loved it. The whole interaction was incredible. Okay, so after that one, solo question again, which brings us to Kit once again, actually.
Okay.
What was your inspiration for Bert's voice, or was that something that you just improv'd and stuck with?
Oh, definitely something I improved. If you listen to the beginning of the first or first session, I started off with it very, very different. I wanted him to have like some kind of, in my mind, when you're a big brutish kind of a fellow, you make a lot of weird noises like that kind of shit. And so I wanted to be like that with the character, but yeah, the voice was very much improv, and it just stuck in that lower register. I don't know what else to say about it.
It was amazing. Like I feel like you stole the show with the first episode. Like
Yeah.
it was just the way you were talking. Everyone was like loving it. And so improv or not, that was A+. Well
It's
done.
fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really,
Thank you.
really great job. Okay, sorry, pardon me. Okay, so this is the last group question. So it comes down to this low rolling boys.
Oh, let's go.
Roll me a d20.
Oh, I might have you guys beat.
Damn it.
What if he rolls another nat
Still got a
20?
chance.
Hold on. He's got it. Oh my god!
Oh,
What a session. That was fun, everybody. Good night.
Close.
Oh my god! That
Just to mock me. I gave you the whole die, basically.
You did.
You're like, what if I skewed it just one lower? Look how much room you had to be lower than me.
And I didn't take advantage of any of it. Oh god.
nope. Oh my god! All right, so this is a group
Twice?
question, but it does kind of center on two characters, more or less. But having been explained what the promise thing means, and now that Noel and Karen are apparently going to live on, how did your character react to that news? And for two people, it'll probably be a little bit of a longer answer than the others, but we have to start with one of them because Joe, you rolled a 19. So how is
that could
Noel
be an
doing?
upside down 6. That could be just a 16. It's 2 less than that 18.
But then that would be a 61 if we rotated it, so you'd still.
That was
first.
well, no, you should only rotate the one.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That's how science works.
No,
What?
how you doing? No,
I mean, I sort of answered this
a little bit, yeah.
in the one-on-one. It's something I want to look into. I want to understand it just from a guy who wants to understand things. But, to an extent, I'll get some more information, but it's not my primary field of interest.
Mm.
So it's going to be something in the immediate I'll probably look into. Like promise to who, promise to what, promise to why. But in the end, it was something that was freely given, and ain't nobody told me to stop doing what I'm doing. So I got my own life to live. Who knows? After I explore what I want to explore in the field of nature knowledge, I might branch out my studies and come back to such a thing. But for now, it's mostly unchanged. Like I said before, that's Dead Noel's problem. Until then, I'm just Noel living my life. I came
Yep.
here, I did some things, I met some people. I'll stay here until I'm done being here, and then I'll leave and I'll go meet some other people and do some other things and learn some more about other natures.
I like that Noel's like, I'm getting reincarnation for free, so I'll figure that out later. if it had some stipulations, then maybe, but otherwise we're good.
When the time comes for me to need to know about reincarnation, it'll be too late anyway.
There you go. Which brings us to Murph, who I don't know if he had a lot of time to really
think about it. But you were with everyone else, so hearing that about them, how did he, I guess, react to it?
I think it's for Merp. It's more of like a scientific question, especially given that it's tied to the infinite. Like, how are these powers bestowed? Obviously, there's some level of soul magic going on. To him, it's more of like a potential problem to be solved than it is like a social thing. Because I believe he would be of the mind of Noel in that it's not really a problem until they die. So, it's definitely a quandary that maybe like on a Sunday afternoon might make some notes about or do some research or something to see if he can assist in a way. But it wouldn't, as it stands now, I don't think it's something that he's terribly concerned about. It is a curiosity for sure, but yeah.
All right. Which after the 19 and the 18, we go to 17, which is Bert.
Okay, how do I put this?
Bert can't even spell reincarnation.
There you go. There you go. The man does not understand what the fuck is going on.
Do any of us really, though?
To him, the concept of a promise is, the pinky shit. That's what that is. And so, no, he does not know what's going on. No. He might think, oh, they're special. Very man special. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
But he does not get what's going on. No.
That's awesome. It's like can't even spell reincarnation.
No,
I don't know what the fuck's happening. All right, that brings us to Anita with a 15.
Karen cannot spell reincarnation either. However, this is her never-ending life. This flaming orc woman seems to be implying. And I think she's definitely having this woman over to her house, getting tea, explaining it a couple times over, because she probably isn't going to get it until the third time around. And honestly, you surprised me, Foos, in that moment, because I had known that in Kimate Kimane, in the culture around the desert, just around naming conventions and everything, you name your kids K so they have a better chance of getting reincarnated in the next life. And I think that Karen had always heard that and been that's just a thing we do. We name our children with K names and they'll be reincarnated, whatever that means. I don't think she had ever thought about oh, I'll actually do this life again. And I think Karen is a little afraid. She did not have the best childhood. A lot of her teenage years and adulthood has been running from that to get to an adulthood where she is comfortable and can do what she wants, etc., etc. And I think the prospect of being a kid again, something that's stopped her from being a good mother, something that's caused her to be unreasonably hesitant towards the scorpions and just kids in general. This is something that she probably needs to address, but she's probably just gonna do Zumba and pray about it. And that
so many of us do.
Yeah, yes. Unless we get a sequel where she has to confront some things about herself. She's probably just not happy with it. And is just trying to probably tries to get more information, okay, so do we know anything about where I'm gonna be next? And of course you don't, and there's no really way to prepare for it. And she's just gonna be upset at it, and it's gonna add an edge to her, I think, another edge. that's a soft such subject.
I love that it happened to two characters, and one of them's like, "Oh well," and the other's like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
Like,
Like
the
that's
changes
not just a bedtime story. That's real. This is
the fuck. Yeah, I love those reactions though; they're amazing. And Vogley, we're actually going to hit you twice because you have to end the group session, and then you have my last solo question.
Yay!
So you get to answer this one first.
Can you repeat the question, because I kind of got lost in everybody's answers, and I was like,
Sure.
"Oh, that's cool."
Essentially, knowing that Karen and Noel are promised and that they may be reincarnated, what does Helkatla think about that?
Got it. And in talking about the baby and the reincarnation and all that stuff, Helkatla is very wary of it because she is a watcher. This thing sounds like it doesn't belong here, and she, is also very one-track minded when it comes to things like that. So for her, it's all about, and now there's the loyalty and the charity aspect. It's all about what Karen and Noel want. If they don't want it, then she's going to deal with the baby.
find
she
the
doesn't give a
immortality gifting baby and slay it.
Probably. If she figured out how upset you were about it because of all these different reasons, and that this thing was taking away your agency just the same way demons take away the agency of people, like this demon just did, she would rage out. She would not be very happy. That's that baby going to die. No.
Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair, your oath is about extraplanar creatures, not good or evil creatures.
Correct.
Right, exactly. But she also knows that extraplanar creatures don't belong here, and that more often than not, when she does, kill them like she did Chitterick, they go elsewhere. They're not here anymore, and they have to, if they come back, then she'll deal with them again. But yeah, that again, she's very one track. Like, part of her flaws was, once she makes that decision, once that goal is made, she will be obsessed with it, even if it means that kills her. And again, it's because Helkatla had a childhood that was very much shared with a whole bunch of other children in her community. Like, everybody was running around in and out of doors, in each other's houses. Everybody was eating at a different house every night for dinner and things like that. So and that was happy for her, and nobody had to worry about anything. Nobody had to worry about demons and things like that. And how dare these things come from other worlds and upset the natural order to things. So she gonna be mad.
I'm gonna find that baby for you, Karen.
Making shit
Fuck it
real
up.
awkward for me
Oh.
over here, Vogley. You keep talking, bringing back loyalty, and I've 3 times been like, yeah, Noel met some nice people, but he'll probably bounce.
I love it. It's amazing. So, very last question for Helkatla. Helkatla is a changeling who never used her natural abilities to change her appearance for any long period of time. Was that on purpose? And hello, the Mandy. How are you?
Hello.
Sorry, continue.
So more often than not, Helkatla, I thought that she would use it against other demons. So one of the ideas that I had when she was down in the water was to use her either her intimidation or her, charisma, and adjust her face to look like a demon rat thing and say something like, now you can't fuck this up. You have to pretend that you're drowning me. You have to pretend really, really well that you're doing this, and then you have to let me up so that I can get at them and betray them. And that would be her deception to that rat, and then she would actually end up killing the rat.
right. Yeah, double crossing the rat.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, cool.
So that was one of those things. And outside of that, she knows that her appearance can sometimes unsettle people. So if she's going to express an emotion, it has to feel right for her. And which is why her face turned red when she realized she knew who this demon lord was, and that was the only change, because she knew that it kind of is scary with the wrinkles and the red just forming out of her face and things like that. So she's very aware of that power.
I thought that would have been cool. I mean, obviously your freaking heroic turning was amazing, but that would have been a cool like alternative situation.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I mean, now that you bring up the idea of betraying the whole party, I mean, I would have been interested to see it. Just surprise, I was on the demon team the whole time.
No one ever sees a demon loving paladin.
I mean, two of us you could put down real easy.
Oh my god. All right, so that is actually the end of my list of questions. If you guys have any questions to ask each other or me or anything like that, feel free to fire any off. Retconning Wilson's series. Go. No! Sorry, Kit, were you going to say something?
If Bert had been promised, would his letter have been written in pictograms?
If Bert had been promised, he actually, despite being able to not read or write anything, he would have understood by looking at it. Like, he would be able to read it, even though it's not like in a language, essentially.
Huh. That
almost
is
as though
unsettling.
Almost as though you had like comprehend languages cast on you. It would just make sense.
No.
Interesting. As soon as Kid asked the question just now, I was like, well, I feel like they would have been like, yeah, he'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Just, surprise, you're alive again.
He's alive and he's like, I don't know what this says. And everyone's like, don't worry about it. You're just alive. It's okay.
My quick question was, when did you want to wrap up? Because at 8:30, you were like, guys, we're taking too long. And then you rapid fired us like a dictator. And in 20 minutes or so, we got through the other 7. So I don't know what better
Honestly,
things you got to do. But
you killed it, guys. No, but I was hoping to end around like 9-ish. But that also depends on...
No.
That depends on everyone else's schedule, but I wanted to like give everyone a chance if they wanted to say something. So I saw Vogley's finger go up.
Well, no, I mean, it's just funny because I knew we were going to take longer than an hour. I knew.
I didn't say an hour.
In the last recording, you said, yeah, it'll take about an hour.
I thought I said an hour or 2, but okay. In my brain, I genuinely had us ending at 9.
Okay.
That's why, like, I think if you look at the Google invite, it says we should be ending around 9, I think. Because that was my time frame in my mind.
All right, yeah. I mean, you could have changed later, but I just watched the other recording, so that's why I could have like
been a dingus and misspoke.
In actuality, it was good to get us moving, but that's just being words.
I do have one question for Foos.
Oh, okay.
The scorpions, were they ever gonna be little rat children? Were we ever gonna have to fight them? Because these people had me scared that we were gonna have to fight little children that turned into rat scorpions. And I wanted to know what was the plan there?
Thankfully, the kids were not ever going to have succumbed to the rats, and part of that is because the particular block that was infested with rats. Part of the reason why it wasn't really being handled was because it was unfortunately on like the not great side of the city. So, it's not really looked at as, carefully as other parts of the city. And the Little Talents, which is the name of the orphanage that the scorpions all stay, it's in like a much nicer area of the city. So it's nowhere near where the rat problem was happening. And that was actually, speaking of like just kind of where things were happening and in relation to like those characters there, Hinga actually recognized Karen, and he didn't get a chance to like say anything, but if you kind of ever rewatch that situation, like he is starstruck when he's talking to you, because Karen and that family is kind of celebrity-esque, and Karen was like, here's my like address if you need help, and he was like, oh my god. What the hell? So coming from like a lower area of the city, like it's almost like having like Madonna come up to you and be like, if you need help, honey, here's my number. Like, oh my god, all right.
Madonna.
I mean, hold on. It's like if
Madonna.
It's like if wealthy people came up.
Hillary Clinton, maybe. Like
Hillary Clinton. Let's take
that makes more sense too. This is a political
not necessarily not from the like the singer aspect, but just the like they know who she is kind of thing. Yeah.
You don't know that. Maybe Karen can carry a tune.
Oh, I have no idea.
We'll hear it.
Maybe she does. Maybe she can.
Karen does have the performer background.
There you go.
Karen was a dancer though,
Yeah,
and
Not
like,
unlike rhythm.
plays the harp. Hasn't sung.
Now you've just been relegated to politician's wife. That sexist pig. You should leave him.
Uh,
That
Any
is
other
seems
questions
like-
for the wrap up before we get distracted again? Oh my god.
Oh,
What does this baby have to do with the Trask?
All right, now this is pulling out some bullshit right now.
I'm not. Both of these are relevant to the campaign. I'm well within my right.
They're relative to difficult terrain, and even then, there's no connection. Anyway,
No, anyone who's thinking about the Q&A, the Trask comes up as relative to everybody.
I see. So Nenners is terrified because, well, not that. All right, I'm making it sound like he has no reason to be terrified. He kind of doesn't, but anyway, he found out from some of the locals essentially that there is a Tarask that is asleep somewhere under the desert, and it is known. And there's a cult that seemingly kind of takes care of it. It tends to sleep for centuries and then wakes up every so often, and the cult seems to handle everything so that it doesn't bother anybody. And the Tarask's name is the Sleeper, or at least that's the title it was given. So I think 3 sessions in, it's fine. So 3 sessions in of our just adventure in difficult terrain in this city, his character found out that there's just a Tarask sleeping somewhere under the desert. Could be under the city, could be miles away from the city. Don't know. So that's why Nutters is where's the Tarask? What's
you
happening?
double don't have to worry. Either the cult's going to keep it asleep and or take care of it when it wakes up. And part 2, if they don't, just kill it. No big deal. You got this.
It's fine. It'll be fine, Nutters.
Is it? Is it?
or give it a bedtime story.
Or give it a
Ain't
bit.
no thing.
Fuse has a thing for chewing on her characters. But anyway,
We
Yeah,
still
that-
need the
that's all I got,
anti-mouth
thank
field. How's it coming along?
oh, what was the this is gonna sound racist, but what was the race of the baby? And I
Yeah,
can't stop
nobody-
thinking of the stupid rapper, by the way. Every time we say the baby, I picture his stupid
Oh,
baby. Anyway, go ahead.
no, you're fine. I was wondering if anyone was going to ask that, in which case I would have asked for a perception check or an investigation to kind of get any details. In their defense, though, I didn't give them a lot of time because that was happening mid combat, and I had to be this is what you see. You wake up, and then you see it's kind of there, and blah blah blah. So they didn't have a lot of time to find out. And just because it's kind of obviously this is tied into the main storyline, it is relatively vague. Vaguely humanoid is probably all they would have been able to tell you about it. In terms of color and stuff, it was kind of messed up just because it was mostly imposed on the reflection of that water. So it maybe had blue skin, but the water was blue, so it was probably just that more than anything else. So in terms of features, though, just vaguely humanoid. Nothing wildly, no animal snout or anything like that. But
You don't have to cover for him. It's not that we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
It's just that, unlike Nenners, Noel doesn't see through that lens. So it was just child.
again, though, I didn't give you guys a lot of time because I had to finish the fight, give you guys that visual that you were seeing, and then move on.
No, it's
So,
good. If the question had felt relevant in the moment, I could have asked it, but other stuff was happening.
Other stuff was happening, indeed. I know that was.
Yeah.
that
I
was
love
fun.
coming into this connected story because I can say shit like we don't need a healer and it's not a relevant detail because it
Yeah.
ain't my campaign it's gonna impact. I'm out. I'm done. Here are some consequences, guys. Have
No,
fun.
I loved it very much. Also, to also mention, because Netters was constantly we needed a healer, and Fuji lied to me. I fully, in my mind, had it that I was always going to adjust the last fight based on your party composition. So when I knew that Netters was I'm going to make sure I have healing, and if someone goes down, that I could take care of that, then I did start changing the numbers, how people were going to get hit, because then gotta make it interesting. If you have that covered, I'm gonna make you work for it, essentially. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he would have hit way less hard if there were no healers in the group. It's just the other abilities he was doing as well might have done different things as opposed to hard hitting the whole time. concentration.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, Nanners.
Yep.
Make the character you want, leave the healer at home.
Why are you against healers?
For the same
Why?
reason I'm against short rests. Keep D&D dangerous. D&D is too safe.
Like I said, I am happiest when I get to down like at least one character, just because of like the tension that it brings for the group. So like seeing everyone kind of like rally together, or seeing the person who's like, I don't give a shit about that person, I would just ignore them. Like any reaction to someone going down is, I think, amazing for characters. I think it's so much fun to watch that shit happen. I love it. So like my goal is never to murder. My goal is usually just to kind of like create tension.
That was another good moment from the final fight. Is she took me down to 2 HP, and through sheer defiance of my own role history and my ever expanding graveyard of characters, with arrogance, I said, that's one more than I need. And then the next round, you're like, all that healing you got, guess how many HP you have now? 1. That's what you asked for, wasn't it?
I'm like, a part of me is relieved, obviously, that like Noel survived as well as he did. But if he had dropped you in that first round in that second session when we came back, that whole fight would have gone way different.
No,
it's like he would have been able to unabashedly do the soul thing, in which case you, the king of the terrible rolls, would have one chance for a death save if no one got to you in time, depending on, you know, rolls and what was going on with everyone else. And he would have had time to tool on you, and then the rest of the group, like, and I rolled garbage.
Merp was too low for Revivify, by the way. So if you died, that
was gonna be it, and that's just part of it, and that happens, and I'm used to it, and it's okay. No, it was interesting because of the stakes. Because Noel didn't get hit much in the first fights. Because I wasn't necessarily throwing myself at the biggest threat and doing this, that, and the other. But because of the seriousness of it and just who we had to fight and the fact that we teleport around, I played him like I play barbarians. And when I play barbarians, like I do in a different campaign, I could ask why I go down. It's like, I paid for all these hit points. I'm going to use them.
Yep.
That's
I paid for all these hit points.
That was kind of how I had to play it in that last fight. We can't lose. It was Noel's mentality. And I was like, well, this isn't the best for my living through the fight, but it is the best for my trying to end the fight. So we'll just see. And in this case, thanks to Merp and his healing capabilities, it was Merp paid for all these extra hit points. You should use them.
Oh yeah. Yes, he did.
I have one last question for Foos.
Ooh.
If we failed, if we did not defeat Chitterick, if we TPK'd, if we had to run away, what would have happened to Kimathe Kimane's water supply?
Some terrible fucking shit that the main group in my difficult terrain campaign would have to address immediately.
You're welcome.
Like they're
Thank you. I don't think you understand how our quest log is pages long. Like, just so thank you. That was the last thing.
Come back to the city, find you a ranger. He's the guy to deal with your difficult terrain.
We need a ranger. Our paladin fucking got abducted in the middle of the night. We couldn't find his ass. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Except for Treebender. Treebender is basically our ranger.
Yeah, but he's not like meant to track. He just does the best because he's the only one who has any kind of point in it.
And he can smell. He can smell very well.
It's not to the level of a trained tracker. He just.
What if we just perfume Ryland, and then he'll always know where he is? Anyway,
we can attach so much garlic and onions to him.
It is hilarious and amazing. But I will say, just kind of like in terms of Anita's question, it would have like been absolute disaster for the city, like absolute disaster. And that was why like the group would have to handle it. The preventers, as they named themselves, would have to. They would probably get like crazy messages of the chaos.
Their name is the Preventers.
Yep.
Why didn't they do this shit? We're doing their
Because-
job.
They the only person who had any kind of idea was Mukami because she keeps up with people. And after the guards kind of checked it out and they were like, whatever, there's nothing here. Like, what is your deal? Then she was like, I guess we'll figure it out. And she was genuinely like, it's just some weird rats. Who knows? Like, why would anybody
How
like
could Mukami
even
know?
bother?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she like Mukami fully expected that she was like sending you guys out on a weird extermination situation. Like, yeah, maybe there's weird like I don't know cranium rats running around or something. Like, she's just trying to find out why they're there. She didn't expect, oh, there's a demon lord in the magic sewers that didn't really exist under the cities. So yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, we got demons going like, yo, bro, fight me in the middle of the streets. So like we
Yeah.
got our hands full. Like it's
We just
It's-
killed demons. Just do that.
I feel like y'all aren't very good at preventing things. If demon lords are already in the street,
Oh, I need to
yell and
color this
fight
out.
you.
I mean, it wasn't a demon lord; it was a demon, and
Demons.
That's
Demons
that's
are
one
in the
rank
street,
below
yell and
demon
fight
lord.
me. And demon lords are you basically let the demon lord get past the preventing stage. So we had to like stop the demon lord before the preventing stage. Maybe a rebranding is in order. Things are not feeling very prevented to Karen specifically.
oh my god, Karen's gonna come knock on the preventor's door and be like, "You fuck it up."
Like, does Karen know that the
name.
preventers exist? Because like,
Yeah,
if
I'm
so,
sure,
then yes.
Actually,
yeah.
you 100% would have heard of them through your husband, because the preventers have been working with the kings, and he for sure would have gotten the news. Of,
Yo, where were the preventers? There was a demon lord down here.
I don't understand what you don't understand, Euphemi, because preventer means you stop the problem before it happens. You should be the cleanup crew or the patch job.
Well, usually cleanup happens after the mess. You want to
Well,
get there
that's what it
before
sounds
the
like.
mess.
Demon in the street, you cleaning it up. You didn't prevent a demon in the street, did you?
Well, this isn't Minority Report. How are they going to know before it happens?
I don't know. Before the demon lord,
Maybe
Maybe you should have asked
showed
that
up.
question before you named yourself preventer.
we did stop a few things before they happened, so we're not terrible. It's just
That's
we're
not
not
numerous
omniscient.
things.
The semi-preventers.
Yeah.
I got you.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
You guys
The
are
You
part-time
probably
preventers.
prevent a lot of things before they happen. We just don't hear about it because you're doing your job.
true.
I
That's true.
understand.
Noel
Still,
said something along those lines in that fight that I don't remember, but it was similar to that.
they
Still,
have
Demon
so much
Lord and the
output.
water supply is a pretty bad oversight. That is a bad oversight for an organization called the Preventers. I'm just saying.
To be fair, Rylan did find the baby, so we're, part way there. Rylan found the baby.
Seeing the rapper every time.
In all seriousness, I implied you should come get Noel because he's a ranger. But if you want someone to fix your problems, you go find a bard rogue because they're good at literally everything. Go find one of them.
A bard rogue.
A bard rogue.
They get all the skills, just all of them.
I love
Yeah,
that
it's
Maya
true.
is just. First of all, I didn't vote for that name. Flandy and I came in here to support y'all. This is how we get treated.
Yeah, this is how you get treated. Prevent something. Do the thing.
You wouldn't know that we prevented anything because we prevented it. It's tautology.
Okay. Are there any other questions before we get ready for our raid?
Oh yeah, we got raid. We got raid. Who we raiding?
What was in the
All right.
food?
What was that?
What was in the food?
The food was actually I was gonna cheat and do a bunch of like a Kenyan food that was just like very carefully wrapped and preserved. Because they actually have my dad was teaching me all about it because it's part of the reason why like Kenyans love barbecue is like it's a huge tradition even in Kenya. Like not necessarily barbecuing, but like they would basically get meat up on sticks and like stretch it out and like cook it and it's a whole thing. So basically you were gonna have a lot of those like treated meats that were gonna last, but like very highly spiced and like delicious, amazing cuts of meat. So yeah, you were essentially getting that, which was also kind of like an honorific thing too, for her to give it to you because it's just like I value you and this is important. So
That's really cool.
He would
That was what-
stay home. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he would appreciate it, but she was just happy to do so.
I also love. How did you come up with the concept of Mukami? By the way,
I don't remember. She was like a weird. I think I do remember kind of like getting stuck in her voice when I was just dicking around. Because this is the fun thing. See, as a DM, sometimes you have to test new voices for NPCs or whatever. And I used to do it when I was in the car driving to work. So I would just kind of talk to myself in the car, and it was fine because I was by myself. And the only one who could hear me is my, my capture cam, who's watching me or listening to me drive. But that was it. Except when COVID happened and I'm working from home, I only get to do it when I'm at home now. So sometimes I'll be in the kitchen just talking to myself.
I hear that.
Thankfully, Dubs usually isn't really around to hear me because most of the time I'm like, go be a boy or go do something else in another room.
Go be a
Talk to
boy.
myself.
You say to a grown man. Also, along that lines, I also do voices in the car, and I was on the phone with my mother, and we stopped talking, and she said goodbye, and in the following 5 minutes, I both just sang to myself and then started doing a character voice. And I was like, wait, is this phone still connected? I don't know if she heard any of it. We haven't talked since.
Excellent.
Answering Bogdan's question, I kind of got stuck in her voice at one point, and then I just decided, like, I think she's going to be a fun, quirky character because as per usual, I like the kind of like subverting expectation, whatever. So like she's kind of this fun, bubbly, goofy character, which initially you're kind of like, I imagine that doesn't have a terrible amount of depth, but I imagine her being like, I want what's best for the city, but I'm going to do it in kind of like maybe underground ways that are kind of unexpected of me. And she's going to have these contacts that no one's expecting, like a fucking giant orcish woman who gets set on fire. She has a very strange, owl bear with her and stuff. So like, I like the idea of her kind of being aware of like the darker sides of life and such, but just like always having a smile on anyway and trying to make the best of things. And if there is something that she can fix, even if it's not legal, she's going to try and do her best to do it. So yeah, I first came up with her voice, and then the rest of her character kind of came through just a list of like, wouldn't it be cool if, and that's how Mukami was born.
Because I love her. Like she feels like your customer service voice plus community, concerned community person. Like she just who is semi-vigilante like. Like I just like how many elements she has. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, she's and you've seen a little bit more of her in Difficult Terrain, so she has other kind of interests, and she's got her hands in almost everything. And she very much likes it like that. Is vigilantish?
Yes.
Okay.
Karen will be writing a letter to the managers of the Preventers.
Which are the kings.
We need to have a talk. We do, but gosh, what a fun adventure. And now the extended world, I feel like I need to go onto YouTube and just watch thousands of hours of content in Difficult Terrain to catch up. I want to do that.
To have it on in the background, I think. Just I'm so happy and lucky to have you guys on this adventure. So once again, my deepest thank yous to this whole team who decided to come along on this little romp. And as I've kind of alluded to, this doesn't necessarily mean it's the end for these characters. There may be opportunities that are going to be popping up in the future. So we'll see how it goes. This was also a bit of an experiment for this channel to see if we could do and would like to continue doing, like shorter little snippets here and there. Because before this, we were doing just the long campaigns, and this clearly worked. And I would just love to do it again. And thank you very much, our special guests, for being here, Anita and Joe, for hopping in our Discord and heeding the call for adventure and joining in with us. So I'm very, very grateful for you guys, and thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys are amazing, and you're an amazing DM, Foos.
Oh, thank you, like
amazing DM.
Thank you. With that, we're going to be rating Ink and Liar. I almost said Ire. It's Liar. Ink and Liar. There we go. Got it. they just I kind of like their layout. They seem to be like they're having a good time. So we're gonna go raid them, which hopefully
Yay.
I clicked it correctly. There we go. It's going.
Yes, you did.
So once again, thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk to you later. We're gonna go raid. So bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.